Yeah, I just hadn't thought of it that way, man. I love that. I love that
Perspective.
thought process there, brother. Good stuff.
Always a pleasure to share. And welcome again to everybody joining us for our how-to sessions. For those who are new, this is an open space where we meet and share questions and answers around topics covering any type of questions, from how to log into Nowsite to more in-depth question or issues that you would have had. To keep things organized, we ask you to raise your hand, keep your mic closed, raise your hand when you want to ask a question, and we'll let you basically openly ask the question so everybody can share in the knowledge gain. I also have Robert assisting me for those who rather ask the question through chat. So he will be assisting with the answers. If you still need or want, definitely he can relay also your questions. All this is captured and recorded and made available on a platform. I'll share a few links in the conversation. So this is where you can find a recording of this session and also all the content pertaining to the information shared. Good for everybody? Perfect. If you have any questions, we can start with that. Otherwise, I'll continue a little bit on where we left off yesterday around creating or approaching the creation of your marketing asset, your website, whether it's a landing page or whatnot. Perfect. Perfect. No questions
You
pertaining to now.
did
Sorry.
hit you did hit the record button, right?
Yes, I did. I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Okay,
recording.
just double checking. Thanks.
Perfect. Okay. Okay. Here. I'm having a hell of an issue with my mouse today here. I'm going to change mouse here. 1 second. And then we'll start the demonstration. For now, no
Do
questions even pertaining to the use of nav, which
you
is
have a
the
cat?
basic thing that we covered. Sorry.
Do you have a cat? That would be my question.
I actually have. I am a cat lover. Well, I'm a pet lover in general. Here where I am, I have a cat. Back home, I have dogs. I mean, there are different type of animals, different type of feelings. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll start the conversation around where we left off around marketing assets, and if you anybody has question pertaining to anything I'm doing or outside of what is being presented, you can time in, and I'll answer as I carry forward. Good for everybody? Perfect. So let me just open this, share. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to be mainly talking about website just to put things in perspective and start the right way. Just gonna open up the document, share that. Perfect. So yesterday we talked about approaching the creation of your marketing asset, your website, or your sales funnel in the proper way, right? And what we're going to be going over here is a basic site map, which follows again the flow of conversation that we would want to have with a client, trying to capture their attention at hello, trying to introduce ourselves, then talk about our services, and leave them with contact or strong call to action to follow. So in essence, this is what a regular basic website menu will try to do. Of course, you can add more tabs if you want to, but as it is, these are the pillars of the conversation. And you can see here the idea of website mapping is just simply put doing something like this, where you can come back and understand, okay, on my home page, this is basically the structure of the conversation that I will be following. In the documents that I shared with you, if you took a look at it, I also outline a little bit of what basically these sections should have. Just zoom in a little bit. here. So you'll notice that the information is basically straightforward. From the home, we'll have a hero section meant to sell us key features, testimonials, call to action, footers, which is usually what we give you when the AI will generate that first landing page, right? If we want to go deeper into the prospect, into the process, or even stay again, section by section, the about should cover small information like that, the mission, the vision, and whatnot. Okay, and so on and so forth, the service and such. So keep in mind these point form this point form advice, so that when you're creating, even if you're not sure of the content, at least you have that point form structure that you'll be able to come back to. Okay, so we're going to go now to the website. Sorry. Uh, and I'm going to share my editor. What I'm going to do is actually start from scratch completely. Oops, sorry, wrong share. Uh, uh, Sorry. I'm so used to using my mouse today, and it's giving me a hell of a time. Okay, let me try something else here. Oh, and strangely, it's my mouse pad. I'm not sure if it's my mouse pad or my mouse that is giving me that issue, but all day I've been struggling with it. See. Oh, oh, okay. Sorry about that.
If you can't fix it and you need me to, I can always share my screen and you can walk me through what you want us to do.
No, I can. I will work through the pain. It's just going to slow me down a little bit, but it shouldn't be too complicated to handle. Okay, so I'm going to start from scratch so that we can actually um, understand the process. I'll try to refer back to what we discussed at time. What I'm going to do is use again the marketing expert tool that I created, and I'm going to use here the landing page to start the website architecture. Okay, so let's see now site, and these are basically the step-by-step process that you're taking when you're working with the tool. You will see that in the basic tutorials on how to create your website. So nothing new for those who have worked with the platform before. Here, what I'm doing is I'm writing all this in one word. Why? Because I'm going to need it again here. Okay, copy doesn't work on this one. Well, okay, so I'm going to use this one here, right? Insert.
I don't know that
Oh,
it matters, but you got two E's in the URL and one E in the name.
let me just do that again.
Not that it matters, but
Well, just to be precise.
yeah.
Yeah. AI. Okay, so here you're called to choose basically the tone of voice that you want to use. And at this point, I'm going to start with a website. Perfect. So this will be technically our home page, right? I'm going to start by discussing the structure that we're offered. See already how it adheres to these point form. And then from there, we're going to move things around a little bit and we'll show how to do this. Okay, so perfect. So you can see this is the website editor. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we get a better view of it. So it's pretty straightforward. We have where we're creating, and we have basically the website setting editor, the website builder in the gray tab. So we'll come back to that. For now, what I'm going to do is save and we'll preview it and we'll talk about it. I covered a little bit about these, the first conversation flow that we're offering, right? But I also wanted to review it again so that those who weren't there or here can see what it means and what it actually does. So we land on the page, the home page, and the banner is technically meant to set the conversation in place, anchor the interest, present the what. Also, this is where we start focusing or creating our first brand presentation, right? The title also gives an idea, a clear indication through the keywords that are used in it of what the audience is expected to find, the interest that we're calling to. Having done that, the next step is our about, right? And this is basically in the point form that you'll see is the hero section where we're trying to give in a brief, basically a vision, a mission behind who we are, what we do, strengthening basically this interest that we're building. And this is a perfect spot technically for call to action. When we look even at the structure of it, you start with an interest pooling or grabbing title. You have the intention that are laid out. And the next part in the conversation would be a call to action, as simply as, well, I just gave you a little bit of information. Do you want to know more? Or should I carry on? Right? Next step, next fold. And these are fold again, so that when I start the construction, you understand that we're talking about when we say stay on the fold or think about each fold and each section as a power section in your website. This is just simply what it means, right? Every move of the mouse technically is a fold, right? So after presenting who I am, I want to create a deeper trust feeling with the conversation. This is where the testimonial space comes in, right? And again, simply put, the title, I want to show you testimonials, the intention, see the customer appreciation. What would be a call to action? We are actively working on social media. Follow us, join us, right? And that becomes, remember in the previous conversation, I said that the in the intent of converting, we usually have two offers, right? Or two main objectives. Either you buy into the conversation or you leave me with information so that I can come back to you, give you the rest of the interest that will build the impulse to buy the conversion, right? So each time we're offering a call to action, we're either working on that. Even here, when I call to the action of reading more, well, this is bringing you into a deeper room where, again, you will be met with a call to action, right? So you want more information. I'm going to give you more information. In the end, I'm going to make that offer. Okay, so this is very important so that whenever you think adding an inner page or next page to your website or to your funnel, there has to be their information offered, but there also has to be another call to action. And when you line up all these call to action, this is when you start thinking about your prospect journey. And in this case, for example, what we'll be talking about is the website journey, because later on, I'm going to be adding an about tab so that if you read more, if you want to read more, you have that action. And in the read more, in the about, of course, the intention is to tell you about me, again, to create this relationship, and through that, offer meeting option, connection options. Or let's go now to the next part, the service, right? So in fact, when we talk about funnel, it's leading the client from one interest to another through a series of call to action. We are always funneling, technically, funneling from one point of our website to the other, funneling from one point of the conversation to another, funneling from an initial acquisition, a contact, to a conversion and a retention process, right? So for those who always are a little bit lost in what it is a funnel, or at what point am I doing a funnel work, or when am I creating a funnel? Well, every time you start thinking about a process and steps, you are actually creating a funnel process. Okay, so keep that in mind. At least this is how simply I came to put it to understand it. Now, there might be deeper meaning to it, but for now, at our level, for what we're trying to do, this is solid grounds to stand on. Okay. So to continue on, at this point, since we haven't given you any call to action, by default, the AI cannot know your how of your process. So we wait on you to add that through the buttons. But since we haven't done that, and we understand that we also need to follow into this process, the acquisition, the conversion, and the retention. So we're going to offer you the capture form, right? This is the first call to action that we offer, and it's also honoring the leave me your email for more information, right? And this is important because these forms have a follow-up action to them. There is an email strategy, right? So if I send you just a landing page with a conversation leading to, okay, give me your information for more, then that more means for me a series of emails, a series of call to action, a planned strategy, right? So when you're rolling out your assets, when the AI will be telling you in navigation, well, send your website. Well, this is what the website intention is to either get you to buy in or leave information. If you leave information, the strategy is to get you back into the fold of the interest with more email with the call to action to buy in, right? With that in place, if you are still in this space, and this is also what you have to keep in mind when you're building the depths of your website. Okay, sometimes we have these endless websites, right? That have feel like they have no end because we want to give so much information at landing, right? And we have to be careful about that because how long do we think that the client is gonna stay reading section per section, right? And there's always if I am interested in something, okay, um, unless I'm sitting down for with an with a with an intent like we are today to stay here an hour and understand and absorb the information, unless that is the case, there's a short time that you have to retain my attention before I decide to move on, bringing us back to one of the conversation that we had yesterday about figuring out how long does somebody who will stay watching a marketing asset video before they time off, right? And this is the same principle when you're building your website. Keep that in mind, right? If I want to keep the conversation going somewhere, I have to keep the conversation moving. So if I keep you in the same space with an endless amount of information, I might be creating a problem for myself. Here it's very straightforward. This is who we are. This is what we do. Take a look at the people that have worked with us, get in touch with us, discover our services, and meet with us. Okay. So in fact, this is the beginning of our website. Now, I'm just going to zoom in here so we can get a better idea of the construction. We'll come back on what we are doing on the other side. We want to pay attention to the builder at this point. Okay, so the builder here is a very user-friendly tool. Okay, so nobody should be thinking or in a place where they think that they're not technologically savvy enough to do this. As a matter of fact, the only thing that you need is a good keyboard, a good mouse, and that's it. Hence my problem today, my mouse giving me a little bit of hell of a time there, slowing me down, right? Often enough, you'll see me work very fast is because, well, my mouse is optimized. Some people who use their mouse on the keyboard there, if you're comfortable with that, good. But I recommend having that mobility with another mouse. So here, coming back to the conversation, you can see all of the tools that we will need to work on the website or set the website properly are here on the left side in the gray zone. Top to bottom, we have the website name. So here, the name that I started with. Coming back to the error that I made, I can come back and fix it here at any point in time. Okay, so we're not locked in. However, if we choose to make changes to it as we move along, we have to understand that it will impact the website architecture. Of course, it's the ground on which we build a website. If we shift that ground, we have to adjust the rest of the structure. Okay, we have here the business profile that we use to bring that we were using to create the conversation. Hence, the importance of outlining as much as we can what we are offering, but also who we are speaking to and how this is being rolled out, because the AI will use this to select the type of images that will appeal to that audience, right? And be careful about that when the images are selected to you or presented to you. Often enough, we have a first reaction of, "Oh, I don't like it." Okay, that's a fact. But will your customer like it, especially the one that you're targeting? Okay, and this is what the AI is trying to gauge based on the who you described in your business profile. Fundamentals important. So here we have the page, and this is where we would be doing most of our work. I'll come back to that. And for the rest, you have the business name. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. So you have the business name, okay, which is something that you also want to make sure that is updated. This information reflects on, well, the next part of the information reflects on the metadata of the your link. Whenever you share a link on social media, if you put no text, you will see that there's a picture that appears with a short description and the link to click on. When this is properly formatted, this is what they see. The title, the short description, the social image, and the favicon. The favicon is a little symbol that follows the navigation tab. When you have multiple tab opens, uh, you will see that little icon that allows you to guide yourself back to the page. Well, this is the favicon. Okay, and then we have the keywords. And you can see the keywords here are already in place based on the description that I offered. The AI will also calibrate that. And that's the most we have to think about when we're trying to do our search engine optimization. Often enough, that's a conversation that comes across the board. How do I optimize my search engine, my website for search engine? Well, keywords are one, and keywords simply put are the words that are surrounding your conversation, the words that technically would lead back to you, right? Marketing would be a keyword, uh, AI, anything, entrepreneurs, everything that has to do basically, that should be at the core of that conversation. That's an actually good exercise for your business and product profile if you can think about all your keywords and sum them up into a paragraph each time. And that should actually be the gist of your conversation, because keywords should be about what you offer, should be about who you're targeting, and should be about how you're rolling your opportunity out, right? Perfect. So let's go back to now the page editor. Now, add a new page. Straightforward. If I want to create more depth to this website, in the page editor is where I start. So I click on add new page, and you can notice you have three dots and a digital pencil. The three dots are what allow you to have control over what happens with that tab. So you can see, you can show, you can delete in certain case, you can duplicate, you can make the home page. Note these are grayed out because I'm looking at the home page tab. It's anchored, it's required, I can't delete it, and it's already the home page, so I cannot make it the home page. On the other hand, the new tab, you'll notice that I can hide it, meaning right now it's visible, meaning right now we're working on a website. If at the end I hide all these tabs, I'm giving you a landing page with inner tabs. Hence, the idea of understanding that from the home page to the last page that you will choose to create on a website, there should be correlating tabs, right? Because the website, technically, when somebody lands on your page, the home page becomes the map for the rest of the website. Okay. So here, keeping in mind with what we have set forward as a basic website map that we will follow, we have our about, we will have our service tab, and we will have our contact us. Okay. I really recommend when I started with Nowsite, it didn't take me very long to learn this. I'll continue after. Uh, Amparo, you have a question? Go ahead. Oh, your microphone is closed. If you're speaking, we can't hear.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah.
Perfect.
Hey,
Yes.
Virgil,
Hmm.
uh, maybe when you were talking about adding pages and showing and unshowing,
Hmm.
uh, this is Kim, by the way. I'm using
Yes.
my wife's desktop,
No, I
okay?
recognize
But
the
maybe
name.
you can show them the phone view where it allows them to see the hamburger bar.
Yes.
I think that will help them also. That will as to why we would or would not show these tabs.
Absolutely. We'll first, since I'm starting on the architecture, then I'll scoop over to the mobile tab and show the impact. This is also important to keep in mind. Actually, I'm going to do this right now. You're right, since I just created these tabs. When you're creating something to keep in mind is that the website that you're creating is also going to be optimized for mobile view. Okay, so here at the top of the tab here, we have the desktop view on which we're working, and we have the mobile view. And you can see that, simply put, everything will align into one vertical flow. Okay, so keep that in mind, and brings back also the fact that um, the more content you have on the landing page, well, the longer that the time spent to get to the bottom of the conversation uh, will be something to keep in mind. For the menu here, this is what Kim just referred to, the hamburger sign. This is basically what technically tends to be standard on any mobile website. This is where you will click and get to expand when you're actually visiting the website. When you're in the editor, uh, it basically looks the same in terms of navigation over here, in terms of our menu here. Okay. But again, this is a good practice as you're creating on your desktop view. Toggle back to your mobile view to see how the progress is going. Some of the functionality, some of the things that you will do on the desktop version won't necessarily follow on the mobile version when it comes down to font size and such. So keep that in mind. Also, as you are working and building, when you reach a point where you're satisfied, save. Okay. Why? Because we don't have an auto save process for now. So if ever you crash or something happens and forces you to step out of the platform, you will only be opening the platform back to your last save. I learned that the hard way. Okay. So lesson learned or warning, fair warning for everybody, save on a regular base. Now, uh, as far as what you are looking here goes, the way it's made is very simple. You can notice as I hover over these different blocks, they highlight themselves. These are construction blocks. And you can notice that each construction block or content section has a different arrangement depending on what I want these construction block or the final look to well, the final feeling of my website to look like, or the final presentation of my website to look like. Okay, so keep that in mind. One thing I recommend, one thing I did, and these are the construction block. I'll come back to how to use them right away. And one thing I recommend is when you're doing this the first time, or even trying to get familiar, more familiar with the tool, open up a blank page as we did here, the About section. We will always need just to click on the digital pencil here to have access to these construction blocks wherever we are. And if we want to navigate back to the menu, we can basically navigate back. There are a few things that you will see you will be able to do. There's not a lot of construction blocks. So I recommend having fun with them, trying them out so you get a good feeling of what colors you have to play with. When I say that, it's a metaphor for saying, well, if I'm going to draw something, I need to know in my crayon box what colors I have, right? And so that way I can already visualize what I can create with the limited colors or all the colors that I have, right? Here we have a limited amount of construction blocks, but they're very powerful. As you get accustomed of using them, you will see that you can create great things with it. And when you need more, you have the code snippet here. You'll notice also we have the ability to save sections. Okay, we'll cover that, and I have a couple of those saved. We'll come back to that. And you have legacy here. These are old blocks that we have that you can put to use as well. Okay, so we'll come back. You have a question, Kim? Go ahead.
Yeah, share the importance of duplicating before
We're
you
gonna get
change.
there. We're gonna get there step by step, step by step. You mean what? Duplicating the platform or duplicating the menu?
Like if you've done a lot of work, you save the page, but you also want to duplicate the page if you want to make changes and go back in case you duplicate something. That's something Coco always teach. Never delete, but always duplicate.
Yes. Okay, definitely. That when you start, you always want to duplicate when you are working, but keep something in mind. You don't want to duplicate too much because I've seen some people take that advice to an extreme and have 20 duplication of the same website. That doesn't work. Technically, what you should have good practice to maximize your space is have one main where you're working. You have a duplicate because you have the option of saving sections and then transferring them when you're happy to the final construction, right? So to keep things organized, this is what I recommend. Usually, yes, duplicate, have one, which is your draft, and you have the final where you basically update what you create, which is the best. Okay, so that definitely is what I recommend. Duplicating is a must, but yes, to a certain extent, be careful with that. Okay, now for those who are basically here using this the first time, what I usually recommend, again, because the content section drives the rest of the presentation and the arrangement, always start by dropping basically a content section. Even though here I'm going to cancel, and you notice what I did, I clicked, held, sorry, dragged, and when I bring it in, you can see on the right side, the blue dots there are shaping up, are lighting up, letting me know that, well, this is where this will be dropped. And this brings back to one of the advice that we shared here. Be very mindful of what is happening on screen when you're building your website, at least at first, so that you see exactly how the creation process works, because everything is displayed. For example, the content section, as I said, allows you to determine how you're going to arrange all this. Okay. So here, as I click, here I'm starting out slow, just so that you see a little bit what I'm going to be doing later on, because I'm going to be moving fast since we only have a few minutes there. And I'm going to try to get through the whole architecture within the few minutes that we have. Of course, I won't be going in depth in the conversation, but this is what we will do. So here, first thing, I'm in the About section, and you can see here, the menu is displayed. Okay, the Home tab is not showed. So I'm going to go back here, 3 dots, and show. So that way I have a full vision of what we're doing here as we're moving across, respecting that website architecture or the map that we're trying to follow. So here we're working on the About. Okay, so I'm going to start with a content section. Okay, for the first part. Later on, I won't necessarily be doing that because I know where I'm going with this. So boom. And since we're going to do an About section, thinking that people will need a lot of information, I'm going to use the AI, edit the text block here, use the AI to have it write basically an About section. I'm always mixing these conversation tone because I think a conversation should be colorful to appeal. We can't be always talking about this in the same tones, like listening at the same music for too long. Sometimes it gets annoying. So write a text about my service and went to client success. All right. So I already outlined the gist of what I do. And in this case, I want it to write an about to reinforce basically that client relationship, client interest that I put first in my service, right? And if I don't have a lot to say about the history of my company, then this is a good way to introduce the conversation. I'm not going to focus so much on the looks. I'm going to move with the architecture. And as I said, I recommend in this spot, after introducing myself, the call to action that I would be looking for are straightforward. All right. So I'm going to put CTA here. For now, I'm going to ground the call to action with the Nowsite link. But understand, every time you're putting a button, you have these options. You can redirect somewhere else, which is what we will be learning to do, redirecting from page to page. So we can have call to action that lead to the same outcome. Either you buy or you book a meeting so that we can complete the process, help you or onboard you, of course, after you purchased, right? We have the ability to generate a call. And this is important, coming back to the mobile conversation that we had and the fact that we will be mainly promoting on social media. People won't sit in front of their computers to look at their social media. They will be looking at it on their phone. They will be following the links on their phone. And when they click on get in touch, they will be calling you if we anchored the number. It's straightforward. In this case, for example, I can demonstrate, boom, I have a number, right? I can anchor the button like that. I'm going to come back and add these buttons, the direction where they're going. Actually, I'm going to do this right now. I am going to publish. I am going to preview. Now, when you're creating your website architecture, it's important to have a previewed version with all these tabs available to you so that when need be, you can start making use of the URL. Here, for example, in my map, there's two options that I want the client to end up with as choice once they read a little bit more about me, right? And this is important. So this is going to be here. My mouse is not letting me copy. Oh, Lord. Come back here, small technical break. I'm going to try to switch and see. Oops, something else. Okay, 1 second. I guess this one had battery problems. While I'm changing my batteries so far, any questions on what we've covered, any things, takeaways, additions that we want to put through?
Hey, Virgil.
Yep.
Only one comment on the save section. They
Mhm.
need to know that you can only save 30 sections.
Oh man, you are a godsend, Kim. That was actually one of the questions that we left off on last time we discussed the limitation or the ability that we had to save section, but we didn't know how much. So confirm 30 is the max.
Yeah, 30, you got to start vetting what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah, there you go. So 30 is, like I said, more than what we need last time. I didn't have the exact number, but what we left off on is that you have that much. If you're using it properly, you shouldn't reach your max that soon. Right? It took me some time myself to realize, oh, wow, there's a max there, but I never actually counted. I never actually needed to do that much. So here, coming back to the button action and our call to action, I went back just to repeat what I was doing here. I went back to the service tab. Since following my website architecture, I needed to have these two actions every time, which is either after talking about me creating that relationship, I want you to book a meeting. So contact us or go into the service tab and start the process. So I came back to the website. Of course, there's nothing to offer in these tabs since I haven't created conversation on them yet, but the service tab is what I need to go to next. And you see the link is what I need here. So I'm just going to copy this, come back to the website, come back to the button, come back to the button action. And this time I'm going to switch it for URL. So now I know that at the end of this read, you will have that choice before you. Contact us. Okay. Actually, I'll make use of this here. I'm going to show you a few things here at the same time. So here, I have the contact us button. I set it up. What I can do is just use the menu. You'll notice that the content section has its own menu. And if I decide to make changes, it will basically rearrange the section as I see fit. Okay, giving me more options for content. For now, I just want to that's more than enough. And what we can do also is copy. You'll notice that there's a lot of copy and duplication options across the platform to make your work easy. The next one here, go ahead. Yes.
I want to let people know a good thing that I found out is that if you had like 2 sections like you have right there, and then like you mistakenly delete one, and then you go back to 2, the content that was in that second section is still there. I found that out by mistake.
Can you run that by me again? Sorry.
Okay. So right now, both of your sections says get started, right? Okay. If you change that second one and maybe put something different there.
I was about to go to get in touch there.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Go ahead and click OK. All right. And let's say by mistake, you delete that second section. So go over there and delete that second section.
This one here?
Yep. Delete that. Oh, no, sorry, not delete. Not delete. I'm sorry, not delete. I'm sorry, Cam. No, by mistake, change it back to 1 section. Change it to 1. Right. So now that second section's gone, right? But now if you change it back to 2, it's there.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Okay. Sorry. You had me confused a little bit. Yes.
Yeah.
When things are in place, changing the section doesn't erase them.
Right.
Right. So here, for example, it's just for right now, I had 2. If I decided to go 4, you see it opens up the tab, but it doesn't erase what is in place.
Right. Okay. That's a good thing. No, I found that out by mistake because I was changing the format from 2 to 1, and then it got rid of it. I was like, oh my God. And so when I clicked back to 2, it was there. So that's just good.
Never panic. Like, and one of the things is that as long as, again, when you made your 2, if you were happy and you saved and you came back and played around with the arrangement and felt you had lost something, well, when in doubt, you could have X'd out and come back in. But again, nothing is truly lost in this platform unless you went the full step of clicking on delete. Okay. Here, while we were covering this, I kept on the flow of work. What I did here, basically, I set up my call to action for my about to move them either from the service to the contacts. Okay. And since we discussed copying, I'm going to do that because, of course, I'm going to need these buttons for the service tab. Of course, get started and the get in touch at one point if in doubt, right? So here, since I've already made sure to update the links, I want to save that extra step at least for now. So I'm going to save this section. Most likely it's something that I will end up deleting. I want to see if I reached my limits, and this is going to be my navigation.
It won't let you save it if you reach a limit, that's all.
Yeah, it would like not accept the save. So the fact that it lit up,
but
I'm good to go.
Even tell you, does it tell you that, or you just like, if you didn't know there was a limit,
it won't let you proceed, Arba.
It's going to be a hard surprise.
It won't let you save it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't both say that again.
It's going to be a hard surprise. Basically, you won't get a notification or you have this amount of save section left. No,
So that's
You
why
will
you have to know that that's what the problem is, because it
30.
won't tell you you've exceeded your limit.
Yes,
Awesome.
definitely. 30 is the max. So keep that in mind. 30 is the max. But again, um, I would want to see in which case well, again, I can't say that because some of us have many clients that they are maintaining website for. And yes, that could become a tool that we refer to on a regular basis. Uh, okay, so here, just for those who saw, again, we clicked use the floppy. So the content section allows you to basically have these options to save. It also is what we will use if we need to create an anchor system. Okay, an anchor system is basically when I click on anywhere I am on a website, I end up being redirected to a specific point each time. We are going to do this same thing here. The content section, after I saved, I'm going to go to the website builder, the settings, move over to style. Notice that you have two tabs. So far, I've been working with a setting tab, but when you're done creating content, then you move over to style for the appeal, for the choice of colors, the spacing. And in this case, in the advanced, we have the section ID, right? If I name this, I called it navigation as a save section. It doesn't have a relationship to the save section. It's just for me to remember that this is a navigation tab, and should I want to anchor the website tab at any point to this, I would use this. So navigation. For now, I don't see that I will need to, but better safe, better prepared than sorry. So you saw I created the content on the about page. If I go to the website and I refresh and go to the about, it will be already there. If I go to the click on the get in touch, I'm redirected to the contact us. Of course, there's nothing for now. We're going to go and resolve this right away. So I'm going to jump from the about to the contact us here. Boom. And what I'm going to do here is break a little bit of my rule. I'm just going to drag and drop the digital card. And this is the gist of how you use these content blocks. Click, drag, and drop. Here, I'm going to click back outside the frame of the digital card because I want to have access to the menu. I'm going to decide to slip it in two. Why? Because, well, as we discussed, the offer of contact should have some kind of form, right? So I'm going to put a form on the contact page. Okay. Now, I may choose to have a form at any other point. Oh, sorry, did I click a form there? Like the feature block. Actually, this is one of the things I like using. So by default, I ran there. But here's the form. The form is important again. I may have a form at the beginning and the end to reinforce the conversation, but all these forms will lead to the same list and follow through the same conversation. So this is important to note for those who like to have multiple forms on your website. They all lead by default to the same list and connected to the same email campaign. Well, the email campaign to which that list is connected to is what will impact all these clients coming into these different gateway on our website. Okay, so be careful about that. Unless you are using deeper values on the form and having multiple fields that pertain to that. But then you're combing through these details to figure out what it is that the client opted for. Which brings us back a little bit to the conversation that we had with Lori, her ad, multiple questions surveying if you're ready, if you thought about it, if you want to, if you already are in the business of traveling. Well, these are choices that can be offered on the form, and that will allow us to decide that, and we can use that strategy across. Okay, so here I'll come back. And again, title, description, the call to action is here. On the other side, title, description, the call to actions are there. One thing to understand, this is important, is that a lot of what we do also has to factor in human, well, psychology is definitely something that we've been going over, the cell psychology also. But when we're looking at building marketing asset, visual asset, we also have to keep in mind the human physiology, or the way we work, I should say, right? Remember that we read, am I saving this properly? Yes, okay, preview. We read left to right, top to bottom. Okay, whether we are aware of that, we read left to right, top to bottom. So when we're having multiple panels like that, let's keep that in mind, right? If the information is way too busy on each side, at first glance, when I'm trying to get the sense of what is happening, I'm going to get confused. So when you're doing that, be very strategic. This is why, for example, newspapers have these lines and these sections, even though the information is condensed on one page, because you stay in the lane of the conversation and then you come back. And they're even written that way, if you notice, right? Newspaper, well, at least the ones that I used to read when I did read newspapers, I should come back. But top to bottom, when you have many columns, so keep that in mind when you're also building your website. It's something to factor in. Okay, so here, I wouldn't necessarily need contact us, or get in touch, since this page is about getting in touch. But I could use, for example, my navigation button for the get started. All right, so after all this said and done, you can register or get started. I'm going to move this around. And these are fun because they're just like construction Legos, or construction blocks. You can move them around sometimes. However, they can give you a little bit of a issue. I think it's my mouse there. I was trying to switch the arrangement around. Why? Because after you have read the offer of, well, register for some kind of discovery meeting, if you're not sure, you can get started, because you might have came to the contact section just to seek if confirmation that I'm a real person or a real entity before you decide to actually buy in. And having come and saw this, well, you know what? I'm just going to book the meeting, but also be prepared, come ready for this meeting. Here, I'll switch this around for back. Sorry, back to, oh. For now, the buttons are bulky, but there's ways of making basically your button pretty simple. I'm adding this at the bottom of the website, but at any point in time, understand that the client can navigate back to the menu and go back to the home, right? Go ahead, Kim.
When you're done with this section, can you maybe explain one of the things that is most forgetted on every single website? We could probably go to 10 different websites right now from people on this call, and they forget the website settings and the importance of why those information is important. Like why you would fill out the description, why you would fill out the favicon, why would you fill out the icon. A lot of people don't realize that's important, because if they don't fill
Absolutely.
it out, they're basically branding Nowsite instead of branding their brand. That's basically what they're doing.
Worse than that, they're creating this I didn't know when the conversation stopped feeling. Okay, this is actually something that we covered. Or sorry, I didn't. Sorry, you were talking about the website settings, and I was going into the website footer, which is equally important. We came in actually in the conversation looking at those settings first, because I covered that when you publish the link on social media, this is the information that they will see. Right here, I'm just going to illustrate that just to double down on it, right? This 5-icon conversation, this website setting conversation has to do with these images here. And when you are publishing your link on social media, through any type of social media platform, usually it will happen unless there is a restriction. You will see the name of this asset, you will see the link, and you will see this picture. And also notice when you navigate, as I said, the cover here. Okay. Thank you for doubling down on that. We opened that at the beginning because it's part of the basic things that you want to do at the beginning and basically consider it done. The advantage with the platform is that, as you noticed, this was pre-filled, as was the keywords as well. So this is done. So the only thing that you have to remember, continue your brand, because that part was important. We don't mind if you don't update your social media, more publicity for now. So, okay, but to be effective, it's the beginning of your conversation when you're on social media. Why would I click on this link? Well, it's telling me that it's going to be doing that, right?
But remember, that's only filled out if you use the AI, if you use the AI generator. So what Kim is saying is important, because I remember I made the mistake of, if you've already have a website and you're duplicating it, maybe you're doing another website for another client, and you forget to go back in there and change all of that. Oh, that's new. Slim footer. But anyway, if you forget to go back in there, you need to make sure to go back in there and change all that website information if you're not using AI.
Now,
Like
and that is
Virgil,
a big
yeah.
1 second. I want to, okay, I want to keep it. Well, actually, we're going to have to continue the next time because we're at the end of the clock. But I want to put things in perspective. That if technically should not happen at this point. There's no reason why you should come into this space without having anchored a business profile. And this was one of the fundamentals that I started. Unless you have the objective of also writing all the conversation across. And that's not to your advantage. Even if the client, you're working for a client and they offer you a text, the conversation would start, is this a recent description about your business? Have you filtered this through to AI? Is it maximized for conversion on the website? So
Now, an example is if it's the same product or the same service. And so you do a website for someone that's in the same business, or it's the same product, same service, then the business profile essentially would be the same anyway. The only thing they're changing is contact information, pictures, about us kind of thing.
Hey,
So,
Virgil,
yeah, well, you
that's an
lost a
excellent
little bit. Go
point,
ahead.
Arba. What I'm trying to explain to you is, for instance, I don't know if you guys beta test this, okay? But let's say you have a V card. Let's just say you have a V card and you go in the description and you name the name of that website in the description. You could put a simple message like thank you, but when you copy and paste that link on a text, it will say thank you in that little description, just kind of like a personal message. Or for instance, if you're trying to do a connect to like an appointment settings and you want to say, well, thank you for your time. We appreciate for connecting with us. Those little things make a big difference when you're texting or when you're messaging and you're attaching a link and that picture pops up. And that picture pops up with that message. Or like if you preview this website and you go to the icon tab and it doesn't say the icon of that particular company or that particular place, and it just says the Nowsite icon, right away, they're going to look for the icon in Google and they're going to Google it and they're going to Google Nowsite instead of Googling your company. Those kind of things. Those are little things, but you guys provide the tools. We just have to make sure we use the tools.
I agree.
Fair enough. And again, it's important to keep that in mind. We provide the tools, you have to use the tool, or it's in your best interest to use the tool. To bounce back on what Arba was saying, putting forward and asserting basically what she said, which is a good point as well. If your website was created before the recent add-ons, the AI business profile, then technically you should also come making use of that tool, wanting to update that website, even if it's a new product description or whatnot. You want to make sure that you create that business description. So coming back when you're trying to update any field, even the website settings as we discussed here, you will notice that you also have access to the AI, right? So it's good to have that. If at any point in time you're coming back in the account, and especially right now, at any point in time, if you have a pre-existing platform that is here and that you want to make updates, any type of conversation, I stand on that ground. Use the tool, definitely. Now, in terms of using the tool, the added value is that when you're creating from this point, this work is already established for you. You have to be mindful of it because there's an advantage here. I think there's also a limit to the amount of social media uh, image that we're having here because for everybody that was not familiar with what we were discussing, I was going to make a post so that you get an idea of it. Just going to go through it and see. Again, when you are sharing, perfect. When you are sharing links on any type of social media, this is what you basically stand to see happening, right? And just like Kim was saying, you can include that as part of your strategy, right? We covered the importance of a banner. Well, you can see that I'm echoing this banner in this case here. Okay, so that is definitely an important point. And also make use of the tool, right? So we'll leave it at that for now. I hope at least this first part of the tutorial was good. I'll try to finish up with the full presentation. Keep in mind the basic that we covered. I think what you want to take away from this conversation, since we were looking at building the menu and creating the relation between the menu and well, the welcome page, your buttons, your call to action, and the rest of your sections. I think that part we covered, how to create different tabs, how to make sure that we can have buttons, and how to capture these different links leading to these different tabs and turn these buttons into call to action. Whether they are leading in or out of the website, we have to keep in mind that if we want to convert, if we want our platform to convert, we need to have clear call to action and conversion process in place. Good for everybody? Questions? Maybe not for now. What I'll do is, if you have questions, remember there is the form on the website, so you can tap into that form. I haven't seen much of activity there, but if there are some questions that were not addressed, then use that so that we can also take advantage of that communication channel. Good? Perfect. So with that said, I wish you a good day for the rest.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Marva.